Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Stephen from Deleted Scenes, and I want to welcome you to Saturday Serial. It is 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I stayed up far too late last night, and I am feeling it. So, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land, if you have some coffee, please, by all means, now is the time to take a sip. I will give you a moment. I want to thank everyone joining us in the chat and those who will be watching us on the replay. And the first one in the chat this morning, Nathaniel Arvin. Yes, thank you very much, Nathaniel, for being here. Um, and not to dox him, but he's my half brother. So I'm glad that he's here. All right. If we have anyone else in the chat who wants to come on and say hello, by all means, please do so. If you're choosing to lurk in the chat, that's quite all right too. And as you can hear in the background, uh, my cat is also awake, so you may hear him from time to time. He's very loud, especially in the morning. Good morning, also from Ann Bryant. Thank you very much for being here. Good friend of the show and the channel. Okay, for those of us who are joining us for the first time, we're an entertainment news show. We recap the events of the past week, for better or worse, especially when we're talking about Disney or of late DC. Um, I normally co host this show with Matt Allen, who, as all of you know, got married earlier this week. And there's going to be a very special message from Matt and his lovely bride, Wonder Julie, later in the show. So please stay tuned. You're really going to love this. Okay, so chat. Before we get started, is there anything that you would like to talk about, or if you have any questions for me before we get going? Please feel free to pop in at any time, right now or during the show. And you got any questions, we'll try to get them answered for you. All right, what we normally do is we go to Rotten Tomatoes to the weekly catch up by Mr. Greg Dean Smits of Rotten Tomatoes. Going to share the screen here. Put me up on Still Store Cambot. And we are going to get on with our first story of the day. Brie Larson joins Fast 10 and more movie news. Okay, because I understand that this is YouTube and that I just mentioned Brie Larson. Please do not leave. We have other stories. And I got a couple of things to say that may chill everyone out and why I think this might not be a bad idea. Okay, we also have movie news concerning Barbie, Blue Beetle, Magic Mike's Last Dance, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, The Cannes Film Festival reveals its lineup and new roles for Ariana DeBose, Kristen Stewart, and Tom Hanks. This week's catch up brings you more headlines from the world of film development news, covering such titles as Barbie, Blue Beetle, Fast 10, and Greyhound 2. Huh. All right. All right. I bring this woman's picture up, and my cat is upset. All right. So do me a favor. Since I am a one-man band this morning, everyone in the chat, please talk amongst yourselves, sound off with any questions you might have, and I will be right back in just a second. And we will get on with the show. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, live television. I am back. Uh, my cat has decided he does not want to be on the show this week, so he's now playing outside. We are going to move on to the casting news. The Fast and Furious franchise may have ostensibly started as racing movies that became heist and caper flicks, but the growing cast increasingly has ties to superhero movies. These franchise connections include Guardians of the Galaxy, Vin Diesel voices Groot, Hancock, Charlize Theron, The Suicide Squad with John Cena, Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot, and the upcoming Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson, and Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Helen Mirren. It's a trend that the upcoming 10th movie, variably referred to as either Fast 10 or Fast and Furious 10, is thus far tripling down as all three new cast members are from superhero movies. It started off with Jason Momoa from Aquaman, continued with Daniela Melchior, Ratcatcher 2 from Suicide Squad, and now the third new cast member is one of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's most powerful heroes. Vin Diesel took to Instagram this week to welcome Captain Marvel star Brie Larson to the family. The timing appears to have worked out really well, as Larson has just recently wrapped filming The Marvels, set to be released February 17th, 2023. The movie that will unite Carol Danvers with Monica Rambeau from WandaVision and Kamala Khan from the upcoming Disney Plus series Miss Marvel. The nature of Larson's role in Fast 10 is not yet known, except that Vin Diesel said of her, quote, "You have no idea how timeless and amazing she will be in our mythology. Beyond her beauty, her intellect, her Oscar, haha, this is profound soul who will add something you might not have expected, but you're." Brie Larson's character will probably also drive very fast cars. Okay, now I have a confession to make. I have not seen the Fast and Furious movies past the first one. And while that movie remained at least somewhat grounded in reality and was believable up to a certain point, I do know these movies have become almost cartoons in a way. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Fast 9 did very well, despite some mixed reviews. I do know there are people who enjoy these movies. I also know that people are very mixed when it comes to Brie Larson. There are some people who absolutely can't stand her, and there are people who love her. Now, personally, I think she could do well in the movie. I think she's better in when she's part of an ensemble than she is playing the lead. I liked her in Kong Skull Island. I liked her in a movie called Free Fire that not very many people saw at the time, which was kind of an action comedy that I recommend. Um, chat, let me know. Is the casting of Brie Larson the straw that broke the camel's back, or are you looking forward to seeing Fast 10? Let me know, because I am very curious to see what everybody thinks. Also, what character do you think she might play? Do you think she's going to be a character that was referenced earlier on in the series, or is she going to be somebody brand new? Um, it was my understanding originally that Fast 10 was going to be the last one. Now I'm hearing there may be two more after this. So that can be another question. Do you think Fast and Furious is run its course, or are you happy that there are going to be three more movies? Okay, so we are going to move on to our next story. Our other top headlines: Will Ferrell, Issa Rae, and others join Margot Robbie in Barbie? Mattel and Warner Brothers may have been trying to get a live action Barbie movie made for over 10 years now, but it became very clear this week that the film is finally really happening, because there were four different casting announcements all within a few days. First up was funny man Will Ferrell, who reportedly will play the boss of a toy company, which may be the film's fictional stand in for Mattel, the real company behind Barbie. The second reveal came from People Weekly, a magazine that isn't often a source for casting scoops, which broke the news that Issa Rae and Michael Cera had also joined the cast. They were soon followed by the addition of rising stars Hari Nef, who recently had a supporting role as Rabbi Jen in HBO's And Just Like That. Finally, those four were joined by another 10 cast members, which included Kingsley Ben-Adir, who was recently cast in a Bob Marley biopic, and Emerald Fennell, Oscar-winning writer and director of Promising Young Woman. These 14 new cast members joining Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling as Barbie and Ken, along with America Ferrera, Simu Liu, Kate McKinnon, Alexander Shipp, and others. Filming of Barbie is currently underway under the direction of Greta Gerwig, working from a screenplay she co-wrote with partner and frequent collaborator Noah Baumbach. Okay, we have a live-action Barbie movie, folks, and gotta tell you, I never expected to see Noah Baumbach involved, but here we are. Okay, I'm just going to come out and ask this question. How many of you played with Barbie dolls as a child? Come on, you know who you are. I see you, I see everything, and you cannot lie to me. Okay. All right, well, we have a cast that is all over the place. From comedic actors to those who are certainly capable of doing both. Nathan says, "Does blowing them up with fireworks count?" LOL. Absolutely, that does count. That does count. And for those of you who played with both Barbie dolls and fireworks, yes, you people know who you are. Yes, joining us in the chat is my online stalker, the lovely Sherry. Also a good friend of the show and of the channel. Thank you very much for being here, Sherry. We have some Barbie casting news. And as I'm sure you know by now, Brie Larson has been cast in the next Fast and Furious movie. And we were just talking about that. Okay, so the Barbie cast is being populated by everyone who is not in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Let's, yeah. Um, so apparently there are only going to be two movies next year, folks, because everybody's either in Oppenheimer or Barbie, and that's going to take up everyone's time. Well, I feel the same way about a Barbie movie that I did about the Play-Doh movie that we talked about a couple of weeks back. Uh, okay. Well, I hope everybody enjoys it. I don't know if it's going to be my cup of tea, but we'll see. All right. Sherry says the next Fast and Furious movie isn't relevant. Um, it probably won't be. Like I said, I've only seen the first movie, so I have some catching up to do. Um, it does seem to be a franchise, in my opinion, just based on like reviews and buzz. And yeah, these movies make money, but I mean, seriously, how far can you drag this out? I mean, this is not going to last as long as James Bond has. We are not going to be seeing Fast and Furious movies, 50 years down the line. Um, the other long-running franchise that I can think of is Friday the 13th. But that's been so mired in legal woes of late that the likelihood of us seeing a Friday the 13th movie anytime soon is unlikely. And I think, honestly, Paramount kind of screwed the pooch on that one. Because that is a studio that is in financial trouble right now, and if they just started pumping out Friday the 13th movies, I guarantee you people will go to see them. Sharing the chat says, I've seen all. They should have stopped after the third. They kept milking a poor dying franchise. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, that's part of it for sure. I mean, because how long has the Fast and Furious been going on now? Probably what, 20 years, or getting close to it. They've definitely been going on for a while, and and after a while, every franchise does sort of have to come to a close. Like I said, we're not likely to see any Friday the 13th movies anytime soon. Uh, I think they should wait a few years before doing James Bond. Uh, just get Henry Cavill and set it in the 60s and start over. 2001. So yeah, 21 years, and now apparently there's going to be at least one more film, if not maybe two more after that. All right, we're going to move on to the next story. Cannes 2022 lineup features several fan favorite directors. The Cannes Film Festival in France is arguably the most prestigious of them all, taking place in mid May. Oh, okay. Oh, caffeine break before I get through the rest of this story. Alrighty. Let's try that again. The Cannes Film Festival in France. It's now France. I am renaming France to France. Uh, so it is written, so it shall be done. The third take. The Cannes Film Festival in France is arguably the most prestigious of them all, taking place in mid May between the early year festivals at Sundance and Berlin and the fall festivals in Toronto and Venice. The full lineup for the 2022 Cannes Film Festival was unveiled this week, and the featured lineup includes several acclaimed directors of note. To kick things off, the opening film will be a zombie comedy called Z from Academy Award winner Michelle Hazanavicius from The Artist. And the out of competition slots include Baz Luhrmann's Elvis and the Tom Cruise sequel Top Gun Maverick. And the 3,000 Years of Longing from Mad Max Fury Road director Driller. Be one to look into. The films in competition from acclaimed directors include Armageddon Time from James Gray, Crimes of the Future from David Cronenberg, Decision to Leave from Park Chan-wook, and Showing Up from Kelly Reichardt. One of the directors, who just last week made the news because of Cannes speculation, but didn't end up being represented in the Cannes lineup, was David Lynch. All right. The Cannes Film Festival is shaping up to be pretty interesting. As some of you may know, the teaser trailer for Crimes of the Future dropped earlier this week, and it's going to be vintage Cronenberg um, through and through. I'm really looking forward to this because this slate of movies really needed a kick in the ass, and who better than David Cronenberg? Um, uh, it's not going to be a movie for everyone. To say the very least, just based on the subject matter. Um, it is going to be graphic, from what I've understand from some pretty early reviews. But if you are a David Cronenberg fan, that everything that you enjoy about his movies, you're going to find it here in this one. And he has Viggo Mortensen back for the third time after a history of violence and Eastern Promises. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one for sure. Um, in the chat, Nathan says he's looking forward to Top Gun. Yeah, so am I. Um, uh, A few months back, when Matt and I did our most anticipated movies of 2022 list, all of my original choices got pushed back to 2023, except for Top Gun Maverick. So I'm really I'm really looking forward to this one too. I hope it's good. I really do. Um, it's a sequel 30 years later, which for me ordinarily would be a red flag. But I kind of want to see where Maverick is now in his life, and how much of a Maverick is he still? You know? um, I'm also very curious to see what they do with Val Kilmer's character. He is referenced in the trailer, so all right. The lovely series saw the trailer yesterday. Um, which one, for Top Gun or for Crimes of the Future? Because I know that trailer's been making the rounds. I'd play it here, I'd play the Top Gun trailer here as well, but we will probably end up getting yeeted. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. You saw the trailer for Top Gun. Uh, what did you think? Does it look good to you? Um, are you planning on going to see it, or do you think it's? Are you going to wait for streaming, or? Yeah, that's a question for the chat. Now that we have Top Gun Maverick set to be released here in about a month or so, are you looking forward to it? Do you want to see it on the big screen? Are you going to wait till streaming? Do you think it's too late? Um, Let me know down in the comments. Lovely series. I'll wait. It didn't really pull me in. Um, and Nathan says, I'm going to see it on the big screen. Uh, yeah, I probably will too. Uh, again, I think it's too far down the road. That's will anybody in this day and age care about a Top Gun sequel? Um, I'm all for it. I'm down. I'm in. But it might not be for everybody. And the director this time around is Joseph Kaczynski, and he's kind of hit and miss with me. Um, I thought that Oblivion was good, not great. Could have been great, but it was good. And Tron Legacy, and I know this is a hot take for some people. Tron Legacy didn't land with me. It was a movie that pretty much went in one ear and right out the other. But hey, I do know Tron Legacy has its fans, and I do know that people Daft Punk soundtrack, and it was fine, but a soundtrack does not a movie make. But I'm definitely going to give Top Gun a chance. Crimes of the Future is definitely on my must see list, and I'm curious. Will we get a movie from David Lynch this year? Because it would be really good to see him come back. Um, I was on a live stream a few months back on Troy Pacelli's channel for his show Friday Night Last Call, where we rewatched Mulholland Drive, and go back and give that video a look because because Troy has a really good show, and I want everybody to sub to him, and but we definitely had our theories as to exactly what the hell was going on in that movie. So yeah. Um, so okay, I'm looking forward to Top Gun, Crimes of the Future, and whatever David Lynch has next, and I'm recommending Mulholland Drive. All right, so we're going to move on to our next story. Susan Sarandon and Selma Hayek take over Blue Beetle and Magic Mike's Last Dance roles. Regular readers of movie development news understand that talent is frequently announced before their contract talks are complete. Every once in a while, however, those talks fall apart for any number of reasons, and then another actor has to be cast. That happened twice this week. Just 2 weeks ago, the news broke that Sharon Stone was in talks to play the new villain Victoria Cord in the DC Comics movie Blue Beetle. As it turns out, the actress who will actually play that villain will be Susan Sarandon. It is not yet known how Victoria Cord might connect to Ted Cord in the comics. He was the second Blue Beetle before Jaime Reyes, played in the upcoming film by Zolo Mariduena, before Jaime took on Persona. Another shakeup happened this week on the Channing Tatum sequel, Magic Mike's Last Dance, as Tandre Newton had to step away for, quote, family matters, and Selma Hayek took over her role instead. Okay, yeah, I definitely have a few things to say here, and I'm glad that Nathan is in the chat today because he's the DC expert as far as I'm concerned. Victoria Cord is a character that is not in the Blue Beetle comics, and thus has no connection in the comics to Ted Cord whatsoever. Now, it's my understanding that she is either going to be his ex-wife or his sister, who has turned evil. Now, personally, I don't see Susan Sarandon play a villain in a comic book movie, but she's a good actor. She could surprise me. I'm not an authority when it comes to Blue Beetle. All I know is what I know from from recent stories like this one. I know Paulie from Latino Slant has been talking up Blue Beetle. He's very happy that Zolo got cast. Zolo Marduena, as you know, is also on Cobra Kai, and so yes, good for him that he's got a lead in a movie that was originally going to be on HBO Max, but now it's going to be a theatrical release. I don't like the idea of casting, of including characters that aren't in the comic. I mean, that really, I find that to be cause for concern. And it's the first to me, this is the first stumbling block when it comes to Blue Beetle. And in the chat says, didn't know Susan's 75 years old. Yeah. Yeah, she's had a long and pretty long career in film and from and she did some television at the beginning too, if I remember correctly. Uh, I know she's been making movies since around the time I was born. So yeah, she's my concern is not her. I think she'll knock this character out of the park. But my question isn't per se the casting. It's including a character who is not in the comics, which Hollywood seems to be wont to do. And not to go off on too much of a rant here. Um, there aren't going to be any fight scenes between Zolo and Susan Sarandon. I mean, let's be honest. So if she's the big bad at the end of the movie, who's going to take her down? Will she be taken down? You know. But we'll see. I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic. And I'm going to give Blue Beetle a chance. All right, we're going to go on and talk about another franchise that again I am not familiar with, and that's Magic Mike. And now there have been rumors from the set of that film that Channing Tatum and Tandy Newton were not getting along. Pretty much almost from the start of filming. Now, the story that I heard, and again, this is all just rumor and speculation, that they got into an argument over the slappening, the infamous Will Smith incident from the Oscars, which is an incredibly stupid thing for adults to get into an argument about. I got to think there was a lot more to it than that. I mean, due to some past statements that Tandy Newton has made, I'm surprised she was even involved with a Magic Mike movie in the first place. But like I always say, money talks and bullshit runs the marathon. But now she's out of the movie and she's being replaced by Salma Hayek, who to me makes more sense. All right, so chat. Any thoughts on Blue Beetle? Any thoughts on the Magic Mike movies? Have you seen them? Are they worth seeing? What do you think is the cause of the rift between Channing Tatum and Tandy Newton? Because I think the whole thing just sounds silly. Obviously, they didn't get along, and while my understanding is the director, who's going to be Steven Soderbergh, coming back to direct, did try to reconcile the two and tried to tried to broker a peace between them, but it looks like it didn't work out. All right. So, all right. Lovely sharing the chat. Says, want to see Blue Beetle, not a fan of Magic Mike. Same. Like I said, I haven't seen the Magic Mike movies. I kind of got the idea they weren't for me. Um, I'm not speaking to content either way. Like I said, I haven't seen it. I'm not judging it. I just I didn't think I was the target audience personally for it. But Blue Beetle, yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Uh, and while we're on the subject of upcoming movies, we have the Northman coming out next week. I'm really looking forward to that. Um, that's a movie that wound up on my most anticipated movies of the year list that I had to redo 3 times because everything got pushed back to 2023. But The Northman was another on my list. I'm really looking forward to seeing that as soon as possible. I'm going to have to work around my new schedule. All right. So we're going to move on here to our next story. West Side Story Oscar winner Ariana DeBose lands her two and only. Okay. The 94th Academy Awards happened almost 3 weeks ago, but it would seem the Slapgate controversy dominated the post ceremony chatter so much that the usual casting windfalls are happening a little later than usual. One of the year's big winners was relative newcomer Ariana DeBose, who won Best Supporting Actress for her version of Anita in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Winning for the same role Rita Moreno did in the 1961 film. DeBose is teaming up with Sony's Screen Gems division to produce and star in a romantic comedy called Two and Only, written by Latina and LGBTQ plus screenwriter Jen Rivas DeLuz, who's also worked on Selena the series. The exact premise of Two and Only hasn't been revealed yet, except that it's being compared to My Best Friend's Wedding with a bisexual slash word I'm not going to use on the show, POV, referencing the 1993 rom-com starring Julia Roberts, Dermot Mulroney, Cameron Diaz, and Rupert Everett. Ariana DeBose was also recently cast as the romantic interest and villain Calypso in next year's Marvel Comics Sony movie Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson and Russell Crowe. All right. Ariana DeBose, star on the rise, for sure. Getting a uh, getting a pay raise from after the past awards season, which she pretty much dominated. Okay, so chat, did you see West Side Story? What did you think? Does Two and Only sound interesting to you? Did you see the Selena series? Do you remember My Best Friend's Wedding? Um, I gotta tell you, when it came to West Side Story, um, I thought Ariana was the best part of it. Um, the fellow who played Riff, he was pretty good too. I thought he crushed it. I'm not going to hack on a movie. I thought it was well made. I just don't understand necessarily why Hollywood on a whole, or Steven Spielberg in particular, felt the need to remake a movie that, as far as I'm concerned, still holds up. But that's neither here nor there. It was well made. I'll give it that. You know, um, I would recommend that people give it a look. Give it a look. Judge for yourself. Never saw the Selena series or West Side Story. Um, yeah, I haven't seen the Selena show either. Uh, the reviews I heard from that were mixed at best. Um, I don't understand why that had to be a series, especially when we had the Jennifer Lopez biopic out there that still works today. I mean, they're re-releasing the Selena film in theaters, or recently re-released it in theaters. So that's got staying power of its own, and didn't need a series. I mean, I know the two are connected. Um, I think it's Selena's family that's more involved with the series than uh, than anyone else. So, like I said, haven't seen it. Can't really speak to it. It was a mixed reception. Had a good cast though. I'll give it that. But yeah, I mean, for as far as I'm personally concerned, for anybody who has not seen West Side Story, give it a look. It's now out on video, and it's on HBO Max, if I understand correctly. Yeah, there. Uh, I still prefer In the Heights over it. So yeah, deleted recommends In the Heights, and to a lesser extent, West Side Story. Okay, we're going to move right along. Kristen Stewart teams up with Saint Maud director. There's an old cliche that when it comes to awards, it's an honor just to be nominated. Although it's usually the winners of the acting awards who land some of the biggest roles in the weeks after the Oscars, sometimes the nominees score new roles too. This year, Kristen Stewart was nominated for Best Actress for her depiction of Princess Diana in Stewart, though she eventually lost to Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Stewart's first new project since then is a romantic thriller for A24 called Love Lies Bleeding, which will be directed by St. Maud director Rose Glass. The premise of Love Lies Bleeding is currently being kept under wraps, except that it will depict, quote, a romance fueled by ego, desire, and the American dream, unquote. Okay. As some of you may know, Kristen Stewart is also going to be in Crimes of the Future, directed by David Cronenberg, which we talked about a couple of stories back. And now she has another movie on the way. Um, like I said, whenever you get nominated for, or even better yet, win an Oscar, you definitely you definitely get a bump up. You get bumped up to a higher pay grade, to another level in Hollywood. And okay, um, now okay, uh, so let's talk about Twilight. you know, uh, okay, they're not good movies, but I don't blame the actors who are in them, and I'm willing to give them. Uh, I'm willing to give them a chance whenever they're in something new, like Pattinson with Batman. I was willing to give him a chance, and I don't blame him for Twilight. I don't blame Kristen Stewart for Twilight. I don't blame any of the actors who are in those movies. They're not good. They're not good movies. They're for a certain, they're movies for 12-year-old girls. Let's not lie. Uh, and being a guy who's approaching 50, I know the Twilight movies are not meant for me. Um, but you have to start somewhere, and I don't expect every movie to be a winner. So this is probably going to be the last time on the show that I ever bring up Twilight. Um, unless of course it comes up in conversation somewhere else. But all right, you know, um, just that phrase, romantic thriller for A24. Uh, I've lauded A24 a number of times on this channel. Uh, say what you want about the movies that they make, uh, good, bad, indifferent. They're never boring. So, Love Lies Bleeding looks like it might be worth seeing. We'll keep an eye on this one. All right, next story. Tom Hanks to star in rare sequel with World War II follow up Greyhound 2. Despite a career with dozens of hit movies stretching across, Tom Hanks has for the most part avoided sequels, with the rare exception being the Toy Story movies and the three films he starred in as Robert Langdon, The Da Vinci Code et al. And while there are films on his long resume that might seem obviously sequel friendly, the one he just signed up for is a rather unlikely choice. Tom Hanks and his Playtone producing partner Gary Getzman, the partial inspiration for Licorice Pizza, incidentally, have struck a new deal with Apple TV Plus that includes a sequel to the World War II movie Greyhound. The deal also includes the World War II miniseries Masters of the Air, which is the third in the series that previously included Band of Brothers and Pacific. It is not yet known what the Greyhound sequel might involve, but the first film was based upon a book by author C.S. Forrester, who also wrote the inspiration for The African Queen and other wartime naval novels. Okay, a sequel to Greyhound. Um, Now, I saw Greyhound, and I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. It made my honorable mentions list that year. Um, so I would recommend it to anyone who has not yet seen it. Uh, the Greyhound comes from the C.S. Forster novel, The Good Shepherd, and there is much more to that story than what was depicted in Greyhound. So I have no doubt that they'll be including more of the book in the sequel. I am very surprised that Masters of the Air is going to be on Apple TV. I would have figured that it would be an HBO release. Since Band of Brothers and Pacific, both of which again I highly recommend, we're on we're on that network. So I'm very surprised to learn that Apple TV is going to have the third in the series. That's a surprise. That's one I'm going to have to look into. Okay, so chat. Have you seen Greyhound? Did you enjoy it? Are you looking forward to the sequel? Um, are you fans of Band of Brothers or the Pacific? Are you looking forward to Masters of Air? Masters of the Air. Let me know in the chat. Okay. For those of you who may be joining us late or have been watching us in the chat, I want to thank Ann Bryant for being here. Nathaniel Arvin joined us, and also joining us in the chat is the lovely Sherry, who says, "I love Band of Brothers. I need to see Greyhound." Yeah, I definitely recommend Greyhound. It's very much a slice of life movie. It's one of those a day in the life of kind of movies. Tom Hanks is very good in it. It snagged a couple of technical Oscar nominations, which I thought were well deserved. So yeah, if you're a fan of World War II historical dramas, you can't go wrong with Greyhound. I'm looking forward to seeing what the sequel is going to bring. If it's as good as the first movie or better, I'll be happy. And of course, Band of Brothers is one of the best miniseries ever made. As far as I'm concerned, it's up there with Shogun and Lonesome Dove, the Centennial. It deserves to be named along with those miniseries back when miniseries meant something. You know? And I really miss that format, you know, because what gets called a miniseries or limited series today is just, you know, you get something 6 or 8 episodes long, and it just feels like a 2-hour movie dragged out. But when you see Band of Brothers, Shogun, Centennial, that's when they did television right. You know, and they were the only game in town. You know, at the time. You know, when because I was very young when NBC aired both Shogun and Centennial, which both had Richard Chamberlain in them, and they used to call Richard Chamberlain the king of the miniseries because he was in all of them. He was in the Thornbirds, and he was in the original version of the Bourne Identity, uh, which was a lot closer to what the original novel was. You know, so you would have people who would come back, again and again for weeks. Um, Roots is another good example of a great miniseries from that time. Um, it truly was a golden age of television. And I miss that time. I really do. Anyway, I went off on but thank you for this stroll down amnesia lane. And I'm sure this is the point in the show where I know nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about. you know, but go back and look up, some of these older movies, man. I mean, you really you can't just live in the now. You got to go back. You got to go back. No pun intended, to the roots. And you got to see where it all came from back when they actually cared. You know, before everything got Disneyfied. Okay, we're going to go back and look at our next story. Henry Golding joining retro 80s teen drama Downtown Owl. Okay, see what this is about. Chuck Klosterman is a columnist and humorist whose books include titles like Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs, a low culture manifesto, and Fargo Rock City. Sony is currently producing a feature film adaptation of his novel Downtown Owl, which got its start at the Sundance Institute's Creative Producing Summit and Talent Forum. Set in a small town in North Dakota in 1983, Downtown Owl will star and be co-directed by Lily Rabe, along with a cast that includes Ed Harris, Vanessa Hudgens, and Crazy Rich Asians Henry Golding. Okay, this looks interesting. Again, in full disclosure, I have yet to read a Chuck Klosterman book, but I've been certainly meaning to get around to it. And the first adaptation of one of his novels is going to be Downtown Owl, and it's got an interesting lineup in front of and behind the camera. So okay, we're going to be looking forward to. We're going to keep an eye on this one and then see how it goes behind the scenes. Do we have any Chuck Klosterman fans in the chat? Have you read any of his books or read any of his columns? Let me know what you think. Next story, Netflix picking up Disney's abandoned adaptation, Nimona. In early 2019, Walt Disney Pictures finalized their acquisition of the film and TV properties of the former 20th Century Fox studio and Fox Searchlight Pictures, both of which now have names minus the Fox. Much of the attention from fans at the time was about the possibilities of Fox's Marvel titles, X-Men, Deadpool, Fantastic Four, being able to join the MCU. But there were other less talked about consequences of the merger. One of them was that Disney quietly shelved an animated movie called Nimona. based on the graphic novel by author Noel Stevenson. This week, the movie, which will feature a voiced cast that includes Chloe Grace Moretz and Riz Ahmed, was saved by Netflix, which is stepping in to finish the film and debut it sometime next year. All right, so another 2023 release announced by Netflix. It will be the animated movie Nimona. Okay, I'm not familiar with this one, nor the graphic novel. Decent cast. Could be interesting. We'll have to find out what the. Gonna have to find out what the story's about. This is gonna be another one to keep an eye out for. All right, going to move right along. Carrie Elways joins Zack Snyder's ambitious space opera Rebel Moon. After delivering Zack Snyder's Justice League for HBO Max and his zombie action movie Army of the Dead for Netflix, Zack Snyder is working once again with the latter on something that sounds like it might be his most ambitious original project ever. A space opera a la Star Wars called Rebel Moon. The latest additions to the cast include Carrie Elways and Carrie Stoll, which I think is supposed to be Corey, but okay. Carrie it is then. With Elways playing a character described as, quote, King of the Galactic Empire. Dun, 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 dun. I think I've heard this before. Sophia Boutella has the lead role as a young woman who must seek out warriors from neighboring planets to help a peaceful colony that is threatened by the armies of a tyrant. Other Rebel Moon cast members include Michael Wiesman, Alfonso Herrera, Charlie Hunnam, Jaimin Hunsu, and Rupert Friend. Okay, I'm all for this. If it were made by anyone who were not Zack Snyder. Anybody who's been watching this show for any length of time knows how I feel about Zack Snyder and why I feel that way. I have not seen Justice League or Army of the Dead, and I have no plans of doing so anytime in the near future. I think Snyder's a good cinematographer, but as a director, I think he sorely lacks. And I apologized. I was an apologist for him for some time, and I'm not anymore. But I'm not going to get into that. I know there are people who are really looking forward to Rebel Moon. I hope for everyone involved it does well, but I got to be honest, this is going to be a pass for me. And I'm sure as hell not going to renew Netflix. To watch a Zack Snyder movie. I won't. But hey, I'll give him this. It's good to see some, at least somewhat original science fiction. To my knowledge, this is not based on a book or a comic or a previous film or a franchise. So, on that basis, as long as they don't make it too much like Star Wars, go for it. All right, that appears to be the last story. All right, so those of us who are still joining us in the chat, what do you think of all of the casting news? Are you looking forward to Blue Beetle, Rebel Moon, Barbie? Since we're going to get a Barbie movie. We've got Greyhound 2 coming up and a new Magic Mike movie. All right. The lovely Sherry says it was great hanging out with you. Well, don't go away, because as I said at the beginning of the show, I do have a special message from the boss man himself. Yes, as you may know, those of you who are longtime fans of the show, Matt and Julie got married earlier this week, and they have given me permission to show the video where they cut the wedding cake. And I'm going to show this to you all right now. And I'm going to quit my yakking for a few minutes. And I'm going to give you what you truly came to see. All right, let me remove this. I'm going to go to put this up on Still Store Cambot. And here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for. Okay. Oh, hold on. I boomered it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to rewind. Okay. Without further ado, take two. Here we go. Matt and Julie cutting the wedding cake. Ready? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Together then. Yeah. Okay. Ready? Yeah. Okay. So where are we going? Okay. Where are we going? Down this way. Okay. Ready? All right. And that way. Yeah. Okay. Ready? Okay. So one nice slice.
It looks amazing.
Got it, got it. Right? Yeah. Maybe like a slice of cake?
Anybody would like a slice of cake? Like a slice of cake, Gary?
Yes, I would. Wow. You have to try some of the trifles. Yes. You definitely. Matt made ice cream
Two slices.
and then some strawberry.
Glorious funniness.
They got it, baby. Yeah. Whoa. Okay.
There we go.
That's fun.
Anybody else want some cake? Yeah. You got to smell the cooking and stuff. Seems like it's loads on the spoon. Excellent.
Thank you.
Anybody else got dormers like this? Huh? Try? Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll go there.
We're going.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Matt and Julie cutting their wedding cake, and we all wished them well. I'm very happy for them. Yeah, they've been great to me. I started out like you guys. I was in the chat, and then Matt and I appeared on a couple of live streams on other channels together, and he asked me to come on and guest host a show with him. And guest hosting one show became guest hosting 3 shows, and then eventually being asked to co-host, and now in his absence to host the show solo. And I would, Matt, brother, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come on, for supporting my own channel, And I wish you and Julie a long and happy life. Matt, don't worry, guys. Matt will be back, and the show is going to be bigger and better than ever once he does. And hopefully, we can talk Julie to stop by from time to time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody who stuck with me through the entire show. The lovely Sherry, Nathaniel Arvin, and Bryant, everyone who has been lurking, and everyone who is going to join us later on on the replay. Our pal Brandon, the anime guy, is going to be starting here in a few minutes. And so if you are a fan of anime, or even if you're not, go over to his channel. He has a very good weekly show, Saturday at noon Eastern. I'm going to be over there in the chat. I'm also going to be joining the gang over at Pulp Culture Minefield at approximately 1 p.m. for their Saturday show. I'm going to be joining Rambling Canuck for karaoke Saturday night. I'm going to be joining Jedi Bill for the after party. So it's Saturday, and I am going to be all over YouTube. So stay tuned. And lovely Sherry says, "Have a great day." And a great day to you as well, Sherry. I'll see you in the chats, and hopefully we can get you to come on for karaoke. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land, I am Deleted Scenes. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to wrap up the show now, and I am wishing everyone a great Easter weekend.